I remember the way I tried quitting video games when I was first like starting out on self-improvement and trying to get onto a dopamine detox. At first it was too challenging for me to actually go and stop playing video games for like a total of a day, like for 24 hours basically. So what I did instead is I just tracked how much time I played roughly. So like I'd write down the time when I started. So if it was 2 o'clock, I'd write like 2 o'clock, and then if I played till 5 o'clock or like 5:30, I'd write 5:30, and then I'd see how many hours it was. And so I did that for around I don't know, like a week or two. It was pretty solid. I think I still have it somewhere. I'm not gonna go and get it right now, but I think I still have it. And so after like a week, I did that, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm capable of actually like doing days entirely without playing. So I got on my habit tracker app, and I added a new habit, which was no video games. And anytime I wouldn't play video games that day, I'd tick it off. And at first, bro, it was gruesome, because I wouldn't wake up in the morning and check off the box because I didn't feel confident enough yet. I was like, okay, I'm not sure if I am going to play today or if I'm not going to play today. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to wait until night time, and then if I haven't played video games that day, I'll tick it off. And I did that for like a week or two again. And then I started to notice something. I'd just wake up and take it off immediately anyway. Because, hold on, sorry, I just lost focus then, because my sister's playing music and I thought I recognised the song. Sorry, but where were we? At the time, I'd wake up and I'd think, hang on a minute, obviously I'm not going to play video games today. So I just tick it off anyway, and then I wouldn't even think about it again because I just knew I wouldn't play video games that day. So I just wake up, tick it off as if it was like I was ticking it off like without even thinking about it, like mindlessly ticking it off. Because it's like, I even do this now. I'll wake up and I'll just tick it off, and it's like I don't give it a second thought because I know I'm not going to play video games that day. Do you see how powerful this is? Just waking up knowing that you're not going to do the bad habit that you struggled with for so long. That's the point I want you to get to with whatever bad habit is, but mainly NoFap. If you can get to the point where you can literally wake up knowing that you're not going to be fapping today, that is amazing. So I'm going to try and help you get to that point with the advice in this video. I've got my script here, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking here. Oh, we got to talk about this, right? A lot of people, maybe including you, they've went about NoFap the wrong way. And so I'm going to explain to you what I mean. A lot of people focus on the external things, the actual action of whether they fapped or not, whether they played video games or not, whether they watched anime or not. They focus on the external thing, which seems like common sense. But what you actually have to focus on is the internal. What you got to focus on is what's going on behind the scenes, because the internal is the reason why you do those things. You can't just look at those things and try to quit them, because the truth is, this is one thing I remember Hamza explained this in a really good way. They're not the problem, they are symptoms of the actual problem. And in this case, the actual problem is your mental health, and if we're going to get more specific, your identity. You see yourself as a guy who does these bad habits, and so when you try and divert from that, eventually you will naturally go back to your normal state, which would be your identity. So if you identify as a video gamer, when you try and divert away from that, it's going to be so challenging, there's going to be so much resistance. But you can push through and use willpower and discipline, but eventually you're going to snap back to that original state of being a video gamer, and that's when you'll play the video games. So instead of trying to do this this external world stuff where we try not to play the video games, we need to make sure that Sorry, I've got a dry throat. I haven't got water today. Well, in this video. Where was we? Alright, so I've just lost track again. I've just ate dinner, so like that could be a reason why I'm a bit slow. So we need to change our identity first, because if we don't change your identity, then you'll naturally want to do these things. We want to make it so that you don't want to do these things and you are not a person who does these things. Does that make sense? So the first thing you got to do, I'm going to mainly talk about NoFap, but oh poo, what have I just done there? Alright, so I'm going to mainly talk about NoFap, but this works for most bad habits as well. First thing, stop setting streaks. Stop it. You are not a fapper anymore. Say this with me. You are not a guy who does the bad habits anymore, right? You do not do them. Why would you set a streak? Why would you, like, for example, I'm not a video gamer. You know what? I'll give you a different example. For example, I'm not a thief. So would I go into my wall and start, like, you know, you make tally charts? Would I go like, okay, so this is day 56 of not being a thief. It's getting really challenging, guys. But I mean, I feel the benefits coming. It's like, you're not going to do that. But here you are doing the same thing with NoFap. You're here. Oh, all right. So it's day 3 of not fapping and it's getting really challenging, guys. I want to have a fap. You could imagine the guy who doesn't fap, like, you imagine some like religious Christian or religious Muslim guy who's really devoted. You don't see him like, oh, so it's day 57 of no fap and girls are looking at me finally. He's just like, okay, I don't fap. He doesn't need to write it on his wall. He doesn't need to have a habit tracker. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these things are bad. I still recommend actually putting a habit tracker in place to hold yourself accountable and whatnot. I'll explain why. Because when you have a habit tracker, if you do the bad habit, you'll feel horrible and you'll have to stare at it. And then that feeling of feeling bad will actually make sure that you don't do that behavior in the future. I learned it in psychology. It's negative reinforcement. It's where you perform a behavior to avoid an unpleasant experience. So for example, you don't play video games because when you do play video games, you feel that uncomfortable feeling of like, damn, I played video games today. If you don't understand that negative reinforcement part, just ignore it. It doesn't really matter too much. But the main thing is stop setting streaks, stop obsessing over them, because I still recommend you putting the habit tracker in place where you make sure that you set the intention not to do the bad habit. But don't obsess over it. Don't be like me where I woke up and I was like, oh, I hope I don't play video games today. Because when you're in that mental state, it's kind of like you're struggling with it. And we don't want to struggle with it. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I'm just focusing on, like, I'm recording with my phone today, not the camera, because my camera's low. Basically, you don't want to wake up and start obsessing like, oh, I hope I don't do this today. Because, for example, with the thief example, you're not thinking, oh, I hope I don't rob someone today. You just naturally don't rob someone. We want it to be the same with whatever bad habit you're doing. We want to make it so natural for you not to do the bad habit that you don't have to worry about it. But if you're setting these streaks and obsessing over them, naturally, you're gonna believe that you are a guy who struggles with this thing. But like, for example, the amazing religious guy, he doesn't have to obsess over streaks because he just naturally doesn't do it anyway. Hold on, I've just got a Canada notification. Let me take that off. So I hope that makes sense. And then the second thing you can do is affirmations. So, what I mean is, you just reinforce the identity of a guy who isn't a fapper anymore. So you say to yourself, I am not a fapper anymore. I do not play video games anymore. I do not watch anime anymore. And you know when the best time to do this is? Unironically. Well, not unironically. Strangely enough, the best time to do this is when you actually feel the urge to go and do the bad habit. When you go and feel the urge to play video games, that is the best time to say, nope, I'm not a video gamer, because you reinforce that identity so much more. Because it's like, yeah, I am not a guy who plays video games. I don't care about this video game anyway. I don't care about porn anyway, bro. I'm not a fapper. I'm not a loser. And once you start doing that, bro, it's going to be powerful. Just one more tip that I randomly thought of as well. I know it's 10 minutes into the video, but one more tip I haven't scripted is to foresee your potential failure. Prepare for when you get the urge. So like, maybe play the mental movie in your mind of, okay, when I get the urge, I'm gonna make sure that I do 5 push-ups, or when I get the urge, I'm gonna say those affirmations, and then I'm gonna start doing some productive good habits. Because if you foresee that in your mind, when it does actually happen, you'll remember that you mentally practice for this. And so you just follow along with, you just execute on what you prepared for earlier. So that's really what I want to give you in this video. Like, I could go into a lot more detail, but it's like, it just made the video hella long. But I hope this helps you get onto NoFap in the right way. Instead of focusing on the external, you focus on the internal. Because when you focus on the internal, that's when naturally the external will start to disappear. And once you do that, bro, it's going to feel so good, I promise you. Because, like, I'm telling you right now, life as a guy who isn't fapping is amazing. I don't wake up feeling shameful or worried that I'm going to go and watch porn today. I don't go into school feeling like, oh, what if some guy, like, calls me out for being a fapper? Or like feel shame and feel like a goblin when you're walking into school and it's like, you know, you watch porn when you get home. Like, that's disgusting. You don't want to feel like a video gamer loser who's just weird, who's always obsessed over these video games, and then it's like you're a loser. You don't want to feel like a loser anymore. You don't want to look like an anime nerd or like a weeaboo who's like got a body pillar or anything. And you don't want to be those guys who like watch Netflix and then are obsessing over the show and have nothing to talk about their own life. You know, in conversations, like a lot of these guys, right, they have nothing to say about themselves. They have no stories to tell. They're always talking about the new video game, the TV show they're watching, and the anime show they're watching. They have no substance. And I don't want you to be like one of those people. If you want to learn more about how to break your bad habits and whatnot, I've got a coaching link in the description. It's a sales call, so it's not a free package, it's paid, but we can hop on a sales call and see if we're a good fit. Alright, safe.